Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to another Workshop Wednesday. This week's edition is What's New? So, we're going to talk about all of the latest features and new additions to Google Analytics, Tag Manager Data Studio. There's actually a surprise platform that's going to, it's been a while, actually, almost an entire year since this little mystery platform's had an update. So, we'll be covering that in just a few moments. First of all, welcome. If this is your first Workshop Wednesday, my name is Chris Mercer. Everybody calls me Mercer. You should as well. I am the co-founder of a company called measurementmarketing.io. And whether you found us through our podcast and talks, maybe through some of the courses that we've shared with other platforms such as these, maybe you're already a member over at measurementmarketing.io, whether an Academy member or a Toolbox member, either way, we are happy that you are here. It's our job to help people like you learn how to use all these cool tools. And that means, of course, staying up to date. Now, one of the main reasons we do this is, of course, for our Academy members. We'll talk more about the Measurement Marketing Academy at the end of the content today. Of course, with all of our training, we talk about this one thing, right? The one thing is there because there's a lot of different stuff. And this What's New edition, some of these are kind of short because there's not a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes this time. So you want to pay attention to some ones that you can actually use. So make sure you watch this entire workshop, pick one thing, one new update that you're like, that's the one I'm going to play with, practice that skill. You can come back, rewatch this, and then pick up another new one thing and practice that skill. That is how we build skills without getting overwhelmed. All right, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? What's new? The February 2022 updates, the latest features for Google Analytics, Tag Manager Data Studio. There's actually a mystery one today. Mystery to you right now. I actually know what it is, but you'll find out momentarily. We're going to go ahead and dive right in. And this time we're going to bring guest instructor Julie Brade on the line to inform us. Julie, go ahead and take it away. I'm going to let you go ahead and share screens. Oh, that's sorry. I had to cut you off. It's my fault. I should not have done that. I forgot. We got to talk about the framework. Of course, we have to talk about the framework. We plan, we build, we launch. Instead of marking the blind, we're getting to the point where we just use our measurement, and the measurement systematically produces more revenue. That's how measurement marketing is supposed to function. In fact, it does function like this when done well. How do you do it well? First, you plan. We think about the questions we're going to answer, the information we need to collect to get the answers, the actions we're going to take based upon the answers we get. Then we go into build, where you think about making sure the platform knows the results you're trying to get, knows where the traffic is coming from, and connects those two together in a natural story. When you have a natural story from your measurement, you can listen to the conversation that is happening between the users and the website. Based on that conversation, you can then forecast how that conversation is going, and is it going the way you want it to be going, like it should be going. And then you measure against your forecast. That's how you know what to optimize. That's the measurement marketing framework in a nutshell. All right, with that out of the way, now it is time to bring the illustrious Julie Brade. She's our lead instructor, and I totally spaced having a slide ready for her. I should have done that. I apologize. But Julie is just an absolute rock star when it comes to data studios. She's a lead instructor, runs our dedicated management team, works with our certified measurement marketing instructors, does lots of Ask an Instructor support. So many of the Academy members are definitely familiar with her, and she's done a great job of finding the updates that have come out in February of 2022. So without further ado, I know this was a boring slide to look on and watch. So Julie Brade, take it away.
Thank you so much for that great introduction. So let's go ahead and dive into what's new February 2022. So let's go ahead and start with Google Analytics. What happened in February with Google Analytics? Well, it's mainly all about GA4 again, and some things that you may not or may not be ready to work with yet. So one of them is BigQuery, which is great news for a lot of you that have a lot of data, because now you're able to export with filtering, which can be really useful to get exactly what it is that you're looking for. So if you want to know more about this, these links will be below, because you can even learn more about the event filtering. And again, BigQuery will have a little surprise for you coming soon about BigQuery. But if you need to know more about it, here's the links below. And then as another update that happened in February 2022 for Google Analytics was integrating with display in Video 360. So again, most of you aren't working with this particular part of Google, but if you are, again, this is for you, and you're just able to do a little bit more with the audience and conversions and kind of connecting the dots a little bit easier, which is fantastic if you're using the tool. But most of us are not using that. For us, we don't use the display and all that. But this is great news that we're moving in the right direction, and we want to keep seeing Google Analytics for updates so that the tool can finally be ready to use full time. Because if you're wondering, like, do you use Google Analytics 4 now or not? The answer is always keep using your universal analytics, make sure that gets set up properly, and at the same time, start getting familiar with Google Analytics 4, get familiar with it, and start poking around, let your data come in, and maybe you have to unplug it and replug it back in and reorganize it. We're probably on our fourth or fifth reorganization of Google Analytics 4. So, and you might go through that as well. So if you just get in there, start playing around, and we will keep you up to date as the platform continues to improve. So that is your Google Analytics updates. Now let's go on to Tag Manager updates. Well, there actually is no Tag Manager updates at all for February 2022, so we're not going to actually have to do anything with that one. So now let's go over to Data Studio. So for Data Studio, this one was a little bit more fun because it's all about data blending, was the biggest one that came through in February. So what does all of this stuff mean? Inner join, left outer join, right outer join, full outer join, cross join. What do all these things mean? Well, of course, you'll have links to all of this below, but basically it gives you a different way to blend your data or combine your data, and you're able to answer very specific questions in Data Studio by combining your data in different ways. And so I'm just going to show you real quick in Data Studio. If we go into our edit mode and see, like, well, what do you actually see with this blended data? So if I come in here and I have a chart that we're just going to grab a scorecard, and then we're going to duplicate it and change out the data source. Real quick. And I'm just grabbing anything so we can just see what happens when we blend the data now. So if we come in here and we're grabbing these two, and remember, if you right click and blend, it's going to try to do a conversion rate. That's not what I care about right now. What we want to see is, what does it look like now when we click on this pencil? It's going to be a little bit different than you're used to, and even your current ones will look different. So you'll see this, and then you'll be able to come in here and edit. And most of the time you're going to want to keep it with the left outer, because that's what we've been used to. That's how we've always organized our information. That's probably what you're going to want to keep it. Even if you're familiar with SQL, BigQuery, or any other type of database type platform, most of the time it's a left outer. There are scenarios where you want to do one of these other ones, and we'll tell you about how, like, we dove deep into this topic very recently, and we'll tell you how to get that information here in just a moment. I just want to let you know there are different ways. There's a different scenario for each one. You need to learn about each one of those to decide if it's going to be which one you want to use for you. By default, most likely you just want to keep it left outer and you'll be just fine. So just want to cancel that, delete that. And then going back to Data Studio, so we had, as mentioned, all of the data blending stuff that we have. There was also, again, some other type of upgrades for other tools that most of you are not using, which is okay. Just Data Studio is getting bigger and better, even for the bigger guys. And so the other nice updates that we're seeing come through is, again, the Search Ads 360. There were some improved navigations that happened as well. when you're embedding reports. Most of us don't do that, but if you happen to be a more advanced user that has done that before, this is going to be something handy for you. And again, we're seeing BigQuery stuff come through. And again, if you're wondering why we're seeing so many BigQuery updates, is because GA4, which we all know is the platform of the future, works really nicely with BigQuery and with Data Studio. So all three of these platforms are going to be constantly updating as we go through 2022. We're going to see lots of updates come, like showing that all three of these platforms work really closely well together. So those are your Data Studio updates in 2022. And then finally, we have a surprise one that we're going to talk about, Google Optimize. And just for fun, I want to show you real quick, just so you can understand like how much of a surprise this is. The last update that we actually had was in November 2020. So about 15 months later, we are finally getting some updates what's happening in Google Optimize. And for those of you that are work in Google Optimize regularly like I do, you may have actually already known these. So again, most of it has to do with GA4. And so one thing that you may have realized earlier on in February, there were some issues with GA4. However, it appears those have been resolved by the middle of February. So if you happen to have those issues, check back again. You might not have those issues anymore. The other updates that we are seeing with, again, Google Tag Manager, Optimize, all this fun stuff is that it's, and the lingo in here is a little bit, it's not as clear in some places. It talks about like, oh, it's connect with the Google Analytics property. Like you've always kind of been able to do that, but it's talking about a Google Analytics 4 property. So be very careful when you're reading through this. Again, links are going to be below, so that way you can make sure that you don't have to change anything that with your current universal analytics. That's the most important thing. So if you have a setup and you've been able to do tests just fine with your universal, you don't need to change anything. This is only so you can start using Google Analytics 4 with your test. I personally have not. I'm not ready to do that with our clients yet. Maybe here in the next month or so, we will, because I think Optimize is not quite done with their updates. And one other side note too is it talks about installing Google Optimize with Tag Manager, and it walks through all the steps and stuff like that. So you definitely can go through that if Optimize is something you want to start learning. We do have Win Google Optimize as a course back in our Measurement Marketing Academy that walks you through all of this. For us and our clients, actually for our clients, we do not have Tag Manager in control of Optimize because of the type of site they have, and we have it hard coded. So this doesn't mean that you have to, we are definitely Tag Manager fans and love the tool, but split testing tools is one of those things that we prefer to pull out in hard code. Everything else goes to Tag Manager, so just wanted to have that as a side note so you don't worry like, oh no, my Google Optimize is hard coded and they're saying to put it to Tag Manager. No, don't change your setup at all. This is just letting you know that, hey, it's going to start working, or it is starting to work with Google Analytics 4. You now are able to do some ad retargeting, which is really nice that you're able to do that. That's even especially if personalizations and other fun stuff going on in Google Optimize. And again, we see this big platform. There's got to be a reason for that. This little guy's had lots of updates throughout the year. And we're only about 8 weeks in. So, and so this is, again, just, you're able to use Optimize and BigQuery together. So that's just another fun update. And if you go to the actual Google Optimize platform, you'll see these banners that are coming across, and you'll be able to see more information of, comparing Universal Analytics to Google Analytics 4 and the difference. And one thing, this is the reason why I don't think that it's done updating, is it says in, what you're able to run, 24 simultaneous, and here's 10 experiments per property. And so it's a little bit, it's not quite clear of what it's trying to say. And if you go to your optimize, this is where you could see, like if I actually had a test running, it would say I have 1 of 5 tests running and how many I ever experience. I don't have it on a client side, so I can't show that. But basically, it's saying that this particular container is allowed to run 5 different Google optimize experiments or 10 personalizations, and we're saying you can have that many 24 going into a view, which means you would need multiple Google optimized containers. So that's what it's saying there. When I first saw that, I was like, yay, we're going to increase more. And I was expecting to see the change instead of seeing, 1 of 5 or 2 of 5 or whatever it was in our clients. But then I realized, no, the lingo says per view, which means you would have multiple Google optimize, and that does take some coordination to make sure you have the right scripts in the right spots and all of that fun stuff. So that could get a little bit messy, and it appears in Google Analytics 4, it's using per property. So as we know, Google Analytics 4 does not have views. So it's going to say 10 per property. So if you come through here, don't think all of a sudden you can start running 24 tests. Plan accordingly. You still can only run 5 per container. And just best practice, we have found that it works a whole lot easier, especially if you have a dev team and multiple domains. It makes it a whole lot easier to keep it, one Google optimized container that you're working with. If you have a really large company and a bunch of different domains, then you can organize it and have a different container per maybe domain funnel or something like that. But again, you have to be really organized, and then you could utilize something like this where you can have a certain amount of experience going to a certain view. So just want to clear that up, because when I saw that I was really excited, but I had to look at the definitions really closely too. And then again, for Google Analytics versus GA4, you're going to notice the objectives are going to be a little bit different. That's just because the information in GA4 is organized a little bit different. So just go through here. We probably won't be diving into GA4 and Google Optimize probably for another month or so, just because all these things are coming out so fast. It makes me think that there's going to be a few more that are happening. And like I mentioned, just seem a lot of this little lingo. There's some things in here that are just seem a little bit off, like a little bit incomplete. So it makes me wonder if there's some more things that are happening. So stay tuned. We will definitely let you know when they update Google Analytics, or excuse me, Google Optimize more, as well as Google Analytics 4. So stay tuned for all of those. Now we have what is new in our Measurement Marketing Academy. And this is what I was mentioning before with Google Data Studio, all those new blending. We said we dove deep into the topic. Well, we dove deep into the topic into our updated When Google Data Studio Beyond Basics. This course I am so happy with. We updated it last week, had some amazing instructors that helped us build this course, and we dove into things like parameters and advanced controls and functions, and one of the topics was all that blending. So if you want to dive into how to combine your data sources in that new advanced blending, definitely watch When Google Data Studio Beyond Basics. And if you're not an Academy member, just stay tuned. Marcia will tell you how to do that. Also, coming soon in our Measurement Marketing Academy, in March 2022, we will be updating When Google Analytics e-commerce, and that's going to include the GA4 updates, how to do e-commerce for GA4. So if that is something you need to learn, definitely stay tuned for that. And then in April, we are going to dive into BigQuery. So remember seeing all those updates in almost every single platform, BigQuery was in there. Well, we're going to make sure you know all the things you need to know about BigQuery. It's going to start down at the very basics. So for all of us that don't know much about BigQuery, this course is going to be for you so that you can make sense of all these updates and take advantage of how BigQuery is really integrating with all of these tools. Analytics, it's integrating well with Data Studio, it's integrating well now with Google Optimize. So all these different things integrating well with BigQuery, and we're going to teach you the basics for that one. So that is it for your updates for February 2022. I'm going to hand it back over.
Thank you for that, Julie. Really appreciate that. Let me go ahead and get your official slide up here. So again, she's been, teaching measurement for a long time. She's gone through these tools a bunch. Those of you in the academy already know you have access to Julie through the Ask Instructor support system. She is our lead instructor and runs the instructor team back there as well. So thank you for that, Julie. What was your one thing that you got from all of this stuff that we covered? I know a little bit for me was it's nice to see an update to Google Optimize. It's been a while, and I thought that was really cool. But the Data Studio stuff with the blending, especially when we went through, as Julie had mentioned, the Win Google Data Studio Beyond Basics. There's an entire lesson because it happened right before we were able to do this course or this lesson, and the change came out, so we were able to really do a deep dive on why it was important to know all these different things and how that came about. So that was my other one thing. Of course, in the framework, when you're thinking about where these changes would actually go, the Data Studio stuff really is going to be helping you to build the story. Could also help make sure you're collecting the right information, of course, right? Something with Google Optimize is courses optimization, right? So you have those coming through as well. So it's a couple places where you can fit it in the framework itself. Next week's Workshop Wednesday topic is getting started. We're going to talk about a beginner topic. That's what getting starteds are all about. It's for the beginners out there. And we're going to have a conversation around server-side tag manager, specifically what it is, how it's different from the regular web-based tag manager, and if it's something that you even need, because it's a pretty cool tool, but it's not for everybody. So we'll talk about that next week. If you want to make sure you get that workshop, just subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the notification, and it'll be sure to mail you when that is ready. The Measurement Marketing Toolbox is the other way to get a lot of free training plus free tools. So you, of course, get the most recent Workshop Wednesday at all times. You also get all these different tools, and it's not just these. There's like 40 tools back there. I will show you in just a mere moment. If you want to see that, it's measure.tips/ww. Just go there for a name and email, and it will create your account, send you a login. The only thing that we ask as a brand is that you use the toolbox. If you're not using it, eventually we will ask you to kind of make room for somebody else. We just want to make sure you're using it. It's our way of giving back to the community. We just want to make sure it's useful for you. All right. Next up, let's talk about the Measurement Marketing Academy. It is, of course, our flagship training program. We built the Academy for one reason only, and that is to help you get through the measurement marketing framework over and over and over again at the various stages. We talk about there, and then you first start out, you're just learning this stuff. And so you can only do so much with measurement. Then you get through the framework, you build a little measurement muscle. Then you're going to come back through the framework again, build it again and again and again and again. And it keeps going like that. The Academy is there to help you to do that every step of the way, every time you go through the framework. A really quick tour of what the framework looks like, or not the framework, but the Academy itself. So when you come in, you will see these 6 core blocks that are here as an Academy member. Of course, we always have the latest updates each week that will come through here with some of the highlights of what's important as an Academy member for you. So you always have that. The main content is the courses, the workshops, and of course, the toolbox. So the courses, they look like this. They're all organized by date because they are updated typically every 4 to 6 weeks. We are doing an update to an existing course or a brand new course. You can see everything that is back here. There's an absolute ton organized by date because as an Academy member, you don't want to be back here watching courses all day long. But if it's been a month or two and you want to come in and see the latest one that's done, very easy way to do that. Of course, they're organized by topic as well. So you can see all the Google Analytics stuff, including GA4. We've got the Tag Manager stuff, including server side. We've got Data Studio in the dashboarding section, including the Beyond Basics that's here of Data Studio. And of course, what my personal favorite is the strategy stuff. How do you plan? How do you forecast? How do you optimize? The thinking behind this thing called measurement is actually, that's not true. It is more important than actually learning a tool like Google Analytics. Because if you don't know the thinking behind why you even want to use a tool like Google Analytics, what's the point, right? So measurement strategy is also back here as well. So that's the courses. To show you what they look like as an example, here's your measurement plan. When we talk about building out a measurement plan, you come into it, and this is what most of the courses are basically following, same sort of idea. You have the main lesson, and each of these is videos. So you have the different videos for the different topics. Here's the next lesson with their topics. So you can see how much is back here as you go through and learn and practice and grow. And of course, there are ways to get help as you need help, which you will, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So you've got the WIN courses, right? That's their standard courses that most people are looking for. And if you think about how many courses are back there, it's all the analytics, all the tag manager, all the different levels of those, data studio, strategy, and more. Like we had all sorts of stuff. We just recently came out with Sheets. We're going to be doing, things like BigQuery and, things like that. So there's always new things that are coming out or being updated just in the WIN courses themselves. Next up is the on-demand workshops. On-demand workshops look like this. You always have the most recent Workshop Wednesday back there for you. And you can see those broken down. So they're organized by date. You can get caught up on all the what's new workshops as an Academy member. You can get caught up on all the getting started workshops as an Academy member, the Beyond Basics. These have all been edited down. They obviously don't have things like the Academy tours and stuff like that in there. But it's a really good way to get caught up, and it is entirely searchable. So you can go in here, type in whatever the thing you're looking for. It'll search the entire database of all the on-demand trainings that cover that topic, as well as the different lessons that cover that topic in the WIN courses themselves. So you have access to all of that. Again, WIN courses and the on-demand workshops, just in terms of the content. 24/7, access whenever you need it. It is there for you. The toolbox is our final bit of content. So the toolbox itself has all of the tools that we have access to. So you can copy these, create these. We create them for our members to make things easier. A lot of these are referenced in the WIN courses as well. But the Academy member also gives you access to the Get It Done guide. So things like Eyes on the Journey, which is a pretty popular report that we are very famous for at this point. That kind of shows you deep dive into how the behaviors that are happening on the pages. There's a big little video series on this. It's one of these things where it's a Get It Done guide is perfect if the topic itself is not big enough for a WIN course, but it is bigger than just what one workshop should cover. That's what we do, the Get It Done guide. So it's kind of like a little middle ground. And this system, the reason that we do this with the WIN courses, the demand workshops, and the toolbox, including the Get It Done guides, is because somehow when something changes in measurement, which happens all the time, we're able to get you updates fairly quickly. So you can always stay up to date and take advantage before anybody else can, which is kind of why we do this for our members. So those are the main content sections. Now, I mentioned earlier, you're going to need help with this stuff. We definitely need to get help with this stuff because this stuff is complicated, because it's sometimes really useful to talk to people about this stuff. So there's a couple ways you can get help. One is the Winner Circle. So that is kind of the community helping the community, right? Peer-to-peer stuff coming through. So you can see people, the break room sort of mentioning stuff where people are from or whatever. In this case, for social media marketing world and having conversations around that. But they're broken down by different topics. And this is a chance for members to help other members. Sometimes we don't have the skills to answer the questions because it's not our topic of expertise. For example, if somebody asks us something about technical SEO, well, we're not technical SEO experts, but there are definitely members in the Measurement Marketing Academy who are. There are agency owners who are. And so they can help answer those questions. Maybe you're a platform expert when it comes to Google Ads. Maybe you can help somebody answer Google Ads questions, or maybe it's a builder platform or something like that, WooCommerce or whatever, right? So Shopify. And so it's like people can help each other back there, but they're all speaking a unified language, which is measurement marketing. It's one thing everybody has in common. So peers helping peers. It's a super, super cool group and a really good spot to build networks, etc. The other place to get help, and this is, to be honest, what most people use, is the Ask an Instructor support system. So Ask an Instructor support's pretty easy to access. You get into there, you ask your question, pop in your question, the details. What we really, really love are screenshots and videos in this section. So you send us over a link to a video that's kind of a full screen video that walks us through what your issue is, what your question is. It doesn't matter if it's a strategy question or a tactical sort of like, how do I get this goal to work in Tag Manager question? It does not matter. Send us over anything that you want us to take a look at from a measurement perspective. We will be able to get you unstuck and moving forward. That's the idea. And our job as instructors is to help teach you, to build you muscle. So yes, we will sometimes give you an answer, but mostly it's to help you to find the answer and leave you so that you learn these skills as an organization, right, within your own organization. That's what the Ask Instructor support is for. And it's the closest thing to essentially a quote unquote private conversation between your side and our side, right? The instructor team and then your side of things. So that sometimes I realize putting things into the Winner Circle might not be important, something you can do because you don't want to share maybe client data or something. But you can certainly have a behind the scenes conversation with the instructors back here in the Ask Instructor support system. And of course, all of your answers are recorded, so you can have those and mark them as favorites or whatever else. It's a really incredible system, and we built this entire academy again to help you. It's not that you're going to come in here and watch all the videos, because we create content faster than you can watch it. But It is a just-in-time learning platform. So you can come through when you have a question. There will be some way that you can get unstuck and moving forward. Maybe it's a course. Maybe it's a workshop. Maybe it's a get it done guide. Maybe it's a winner circle question that you can help answer or get an answer to. Or it's Ask Instructor Support. And 9 times out of 10, if you send over videos and screenshots, we send over videos and screenshots. So it's an absolute incredible platform to be a part of. Obviously, would encourage you to be a part of that as well. The manage account here, just so you know, is the standard manage account stuff. So if you need to change your email or billing information, that sort of stuff, kind of standard at that point. So the Academy itself, to kind of run down the value here, the courses, the Ask Instructor Support, the on-demand workshop library, the Winner Circle community, you get access to every single course that's available back there. So we don't limit anything. You get access to everything, including all the updates. The Ask an Instructor Support, you get access to that. You can ask as many questions as you want. There is no limit to the amount of questions that you are able to ask back there. So we have people sometimes that are like, I feel bad asking so many questions. Please ask questions. The instructors actually like that more. It's a dirty little secret, but it's true. The instructors love the people who ask more questions because they know that those people are learning. Those students are learning. So please ask questions back there. The on-demand workshop library, again, 24/7 access. There are hundreds and hundreds of workshops that are back there in this database, completely searchable. New ones added just about every single week. The on-demand workshop library is back there for you. And of course, the Winner Circle community. You get access to essentially what is a private club of measurement marketers and those learning measurement marketing that you have access to. So all told, you have approximately $15,000 in training and support that you get access to as an Academy member. And technically it goes a little bit higher each and every week because we keep adding content to this platform. Again, our job is not to overwhelm, it's to help, to make sure that you build skills, that you build your own measurement muscle. That is what the Academy is there for. So with that, it's officially that time. It's our job to ask you to join the Measurement Marketing Academy. To do that, just go here, measure.tips/getacademy. Take a look at the most current offers. Again, measure.tips/getacademy. All right, with that, we'll officially wrap up this week's Workshop Wednesday. This has been What's New, the February 2022 updates. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.